There.
Good morning, Jerry.
Hi, Jerry.
How's everybody this morning?
Yeah, we're fine.
Okay. How are you?
Moving.
You are moving?
What? I mean, moving around.
Oh, hey, that's always a good thing, huh? Yeah.
At least we're on the green side of the grass.
Good to see you, dear.
Good to see you too, always.
There's Byron.
Oh. Yep. Byron's muted.
Good morning.
Oh. Look at the boys. Man, they're growing.
Yes, they are. Good morning, gentlemen.
Byron, this is Roger from our audio video.
Good morning, Roger.
All right, hold on. All right, can you try it again?
Good morning. How are you?
Byron. All right, I think we got it working. Thanks.
Are you not picking me up?
Yes, we can hear you.
All good?
We're good.
All right, sounds great.
Okay, so good morning to everyone. We're ready to go ahead and get started. I'd like to welcome everyone to our class, Sunday morning class at the Mountain View Church of Christ. Looks like did Byron's video freeze up? Yeah, it's going now. Okay. I'd like to welcome everyone this morning. Instead of our normal class, we're going to have Byron Benitez join us via Zoom. He's going to be giving us update on the work that he and Hi Jones are doing in Guatemala. And so to give him as much time as we can, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Byron. Byron, go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to see everyone and to be assembled virtually. Well, it's not in person, but it's great to see everyone. And really, it's good to be alive. It's been quite a journey the last couple months, but God has been good. And so very thankful to be able to give this report. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for staying with us during this time. It's very difficult. It's been different for all of us. But I think all of us have had to find ways to be faithful, number one, that's not ever a question. And then to continue to serve our Lord and to serve each other, which has always been a challenge. But God's people always look for ways to do so. And in the end, God helps us. And so I'm going to give you a report. If I could be allowed to share my screen. I think I might already have that option. Let me try it here. Yeah. Can everyone see my screen? Okay. Looks like we're good. And so I'm going to give you a brief report on what's been going on with us this last year. If there are any problems, just let me know. You can interrupt me and let me know what's going on. We're kind of adjusting here in our living room too. We normally go to the Linda Vista congregation in the morning time, and we hadn't met virtually in a while, so you kind of get out of practice. All right, let's talk about the 2021 report. And if you could keep track of time, I have about 45 minutes, I assume. Is that correct, Roger, or anybody else who wants to tell me?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, great. Okay. All right, well, we will get started. For those of you who may be new to us, to the work, those in the church there at Mountain View, the church there has a long history of supporting the work in Guatemala, for which we are very thankful. We have been here 21 years. And I'm not sure if you started with us at the beginning. I think you did. But if you didn't, it's been way towards the beginning. We're very grateful for that. We live in a small country, Guatemala, Central America, just south of Mexico. And we are trying to expand out into other countries with our Bible Institute, which I'll explain in just a moment. We've had several Central American countries that have sent their students. We have graduates in different places. We have one from Peru as well, and one is in Ecuador, from Panama. And so we're hoping to get some students also from Colombia. Right now, we had an application from Panama. I'm getting ahead of myself, an application from Cuba. But anyway, I just want you to see where the Latin American country is. And from a small little place, we're trying to extend our influence into other parts of the world. But let's talk about Guatemala first. In Guatemala, this past year, we had several opportunities for preaching and teaching. Hawatha's not in this picture, but he normally joins us as Snejana does too. We've been having a studies over the last year and a half with this family. They're our neighbors. Lily on the left was actually baptized, but Adolfo has resisted. The one in the middle, it's her husband. He's an elder in his denominational church. So you can understand why they've resisted discussing more doctrinal issues. And then their son there to the right of him. And so we continue to maintain a good relationship with this family. Please pray for them. We're also studying now with the other son, who is next to Adolfo here, between Lily and Adolfo, the guy in the blue shirt, dark, I guess that's a black shirt and jeans. That's their other son, Ivan, and his wife and daughter. We've been studying with them. Well, we started studying before I got sick, once a week. And so hopefully we'll be able to resume those studies. These studies have actually taken place after I got sick. This is the contact. Her name is Norma Gomez on the top left corner. She is the original contact from the hospital. She's a respiratory therapist. And I ended up with about 9 contacts as a result of my hospital stay, which I'll explain in just a moment. But then she ended up sharing the information with her family, her brother on the bottom left, her sister on the top right, and then her nephews and niece. We're continuing a study. We'll have to pause here for the holidays, but we have another one scheduled this Monday. And they seem very eager to learn about the Bible. And so please keep them in your prayers. It's the Gomez family. There are 5 of them. The little boy there, he might come along afterwards, so it might turn into 6. But anyway, these are some of the studies. My wife also was able to study online with a former student of hers, Isabel. Her student is an English teacher, but her English was a little lacking, as is most common here in Guatemala. So my wife was teaching her English and at the same time teaching her about the Bible. Isabel finally acknowledged that the plan of salvation was biblical, but she refused to do it because she has quite an investment in her denominational ties. In fact, that's where she's doing the radio program. And so like a year or two later, my wife got an invitation from her to speak over the radio program, and it comes on YouTube. And so my wife was able to do a study with 4 ladies on this particular subject, doing the will of God. And my wife was able to present to them the plan of salvation online and over the radio for the ladies. And so that was a good opportunity for Snejana. She's a good teacher of the ladies. And then we also were able to go from place to place in Guatemala City. This is called Chutsorop Primero. I know you won't try to pronounce that. Chichicastenango is a department northwest of us. And they had television. It was televised that particular day. They were doing an inauguration of their building. Had a pretty good turnout. And here on our way out. And then we also went to Las Trampas, Chichicastenango, which is another city. Chichicastenango actually has some pretty good sized churches. As you can see, we were eating here. Hawatha was with us as well, my family. And then as you can see, the attendance is pretty good. Here we actually dealt with the subject of the Church of the Bible, the Church of Christ. This was also recorded and televised. And so the churches there in Chichicastenango, as I was saying earlier, are pretty large. They can be from, I don't know, 100 is a small group. There's actually another one that they say is about 1,000 members. And so it's pretty impressive. A lot of times they speak their native tongue, a Mayan dialect, and they sing that way. In this particular congregation, they just sang in Spanish, but they often, in their prayers or in their speaking to each other, they would speak to each other in a language unknown to us. We speak Spanish. This past year, we also had World English Institute teachers, which hopefully this coming year will plan to return. It was a little different this year because of the pandemic, but as you can see, we adjusted as well. So we had pretty good turnout as far as students were concerned. This is Anna Pride. She and Doris made up the first team. They were supposed to have 4 on their team, but unfortunately, one of the team members, her husband, you might know or remember his name, Brother Mardekainen. He was an elder there in Connecticut. He passed away of cancer. And so for that reason, Candy and her daughter, who were supposed to come on this team, were not able to make it. But the next team did have their 4. Here we have the Westons, and we have the Morrises. No, not Morrises. Mortons. I'm sorry. The Mortons. Real nice couples. They are really a blessing. And so they were able to do some classes as well. As you can see here, you got a good picture in the mirror. You can see Greg, who's really in front of his wife here, LaDawn, and then you can see in the background the Mortons were in that other section. And here they are again. This is Peggy and her student. Sometimes they had 2, but usually you have 1. So if you're interested in coming next year, Guatemala is not requiring a vaccine. They do require a 72-hour PCR test for anybody who wants to come in. And the law right now still is when you're in public places, you should wear a mask. So by next year, maybe they'll remove it or maybe not, but we kind of got used to wearing it. And it's not a big deal for us here in Guatemala. And so we just move on with life. The family at Linda Vista, this is our evangelist, Walter Dardon. He's doing very well, very good job here at the congregation. He's still being fully supported by the church at Linda Vista, which is a big milestone for local congregations, and his wife, Noelis, and their 3 children. Now, Noelis just recently received an operation. She was just recently operated on. She had her gallbladder removed. She spent months suffering from this, and they tried to go through a public system, and that just wasn't working. And so finally, they went private hospital, and so we helped them with that as well. And she was able to go home on Wednesday. She was operated on Monday. And then on Wednesday, she was able to go home And so this is now her fourth day or third day being home. And Walter said that she's doing really well. Her wound is healing really well. So please keep that family in your prayers. He's very faithful, very good preacher, a good evangelist, and we're very happy. He's a graduate of our school. We're very happy with what he's doing. The church continues to practice social distancing. We have still 2 Sunday morning services. The first group meets at 8 o'clock. And then we are part of the second group. We meet at 10:30. And so we have a pretty good group for both services. And we, of course, do what we need to do in order to not have the authorities come after us and give us a problem as far as trying to assemble as a body. And this is our Wednesday night Bible study. And so we have less people usually on Wednesday as well, as most congregations do. And so we're able just to meet for one service during the Wednesday night Bible class. And as you can see here, Hawatha sometimes preaches, I translate, or sometimes I'll speak. But we take turns with the local evangelists and other brothers that teach at the congregation at Linda Vista. And as you can see, we're bringing up some evangelists. There's my son, Jose. And as you can tell, I'll just show you very quickly here. If you can't see them, you'll see them hopefully later. But they still like to dress up like dad and like uncle. And I don't take that from them. I still like that one day they may not even want to be around me. So I'm very thankful that they like to dress like us. And we love them very much. Our boys are we're hoping will become evangelists and preachers one day. And of course, that's something we want that to come from their hearts. And so please pray for them that will happen. At Linda Vista, we try to maintain somewhat of a how should I say, an atmosphere of normality, if you really can use that word anymore. But when the activities came around, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Children's Day, we tried to do these things for the congregation, respecting the limitations that were placed on us by the government, but at the same time trying to accomplish God's will with fellowshipping and reaching out to the lost. This is the boys with Hawatha coming back from the Children's Day, coming home that Sunday. We didn't go. We didn't go. In fact, that day because I was sick, still pretty sick from coronavirus at that time. All right. Now I'll tell you a little bit about the ITL School, Instituto Teológico Latinoamericano. We continue to move forward with the school. Although, of course, it's been affected also. We had to shut our doors for about a year until we were able to have classes again. And so once we were able to have classes again, we were very, very happy to do so. And of course, we continue to do so. These men here, you can see that I'm on the left-hand side. Hawatha's the president. He's in the center. And I think you may have received the report, but if you didn't, the gentleman on the right in the blue, that's our newest staff member. His name is Gerson Reese. In fact, if it were not for Gerson during this time of my illness, and Hawatha also got COVID, Darwin lives far away, and Benny, he hardly can see. So if it would not have been for Harrison and our bringing Harrison on, I don't know that the ITL school would have been able to function over the last 2 months. So we're very, very grateful for Harrison. He's one of our graduates. He was the valedictorian of his class. He has proven to be so mature, so responsible, and a faithful gospel preacher. So we're so thankful to God to have him on board with us. We continue with both programs. The Saturday program here, Hawatha's teaching in this program. As you can see, we've changed our layout. We've had to distance the desks. They have to have 1.5 meters, which turns out to be about 5 to 6 feet. And everyone has to wear a mask, and you have to put on gel, and et cetera, et cetera. But we continue to move forward with the program. Here you can see Darwin teaching as well during the Saturday program. And so here you can get another point of view of the classroom and what we've had to do. And Walter, our local evangelist, also has been integrated into the program. He's always wanted to teach, but his responsibilities have not always allowed him to do so. But this last quarter, he was able to do so. We're grateful that he did. He did a good job. And so here again, a picture of the Saturday students. And this is a picture of our full-time program, our first ADA class. And some of you who are sponsors will already know this, but unfortunately our ADA class, we had about 8 students that were going to start during this class. And then little by little, they started dropping off for one reason or another. And by the time class started in March, we ended up with 3 students, a couple with their 2 boys and the single young man over here on the left. Unfortunately, that single young man and the secretary started having an inappropriate relationship. And so we had to fire our secretary, who we had had for 5 years and loved very much, Leslie, and we had to let the student go home. And so that was the first full-time program. And so we almost decided to just send the couple home and just start over next year. But thankfully, we were able to continue. We ended up with 3 more students about a month later. The gentleman in the center there, that's Daniel Alvarez. His father is Darwin Alvarez, one of our instructors. And so he started the class in the second quarter. And then a couple from Nicaragua who had a hard time getting to Nicaragua. In fact, right now that they were on their way back home, they had a hard time getting back home. I don't have time to explain, but it just seems like Nicaragua gives a lot of problems, regardless if you're Nicaraguan or anybody else, as far as trying to get out of their borders or get into their borders. But anyway, we're thankful that we have the Vasquez. We have 2 Vasquez families now. The couple on the right is a Vasquez Lopez family. And so we have them on the right, and then we have the Vasquez Paz family. So the one on the left is Wilfredo and his wife Aida Lina. And they're back now in Nicaragua during their vacation time. And then Alejandro on the right with his wife, Elsa, they are in the northern part of Guatemala. And then in the center is Daniel Alvarez. He's back with his family in Coban, which is about the center of Guatemala. So now we have 3 Guatemalans and 2 Nicaraguans who make up our second ADA class. And hopefully we won't have to change this anymore. Please pray for these students and for their families. And we started the program in March, as I mentioned earlier. We did orientation day. And so here you'll see that young man who was here originally, and then you'll have all the staff members who are instructing them on what to expect. And then of course classes started, and several of our normal teachers that come from the States and they give in-person classes decided, because of the circumstances, that this year they would teach through Zoom, as we're doing so now. Zoom has become almost a standard of communication now for many churches and institutions. And so we are not an exception. We also learned how to use Zoom for worship for Linda Vista originally, and of course also for ITL. So this is Lyndall Mitchell teaching from Livingston, Texas, our students, and Benjamin translating for him. We also had evaluations, and so we invited some people to do some evaluations of our students during their homiletics class. Huwatha teaches that class. Here, Gerson is addressing some of the students. This is actually our second orientation day. As I said earlier, we had a transition. And so this is Gerson giving an orientation day. Here you can see Elsa. And this year we integrated Greek back into the program. I had the privilege of teaching this course. Don't think I'm a Greek scholar by any means, but we did want to introduce them to some Greek grammar and alphabet so that they would be able to use some of the tools that are available in our library and online now. And Elsa, here she's writing in Greek, and she turned out to be the one who said the alphabet the fastest. She said it in 9 seconds, if you can believe that. She was amazing. So she was really excited about that. Here is the couple from Nicaragua as they first started class. And so this is the new class now in their class environment. And this is while I was still able to teach here, Huwatha during the homiletics class, and Wilfredo practicing his homiletics. Now, Wilfredo has some experience. He preached for some time, but he never had any formal training. And so he was excited to come to Guatemala. And as he was leaving this past week, he says, I am so excited. I'm grateful that I came here. It's turned out to be much more than I ever expected. And so we're happy that he has that concept of ITL, and we're hoping that we will bless his life and the ministry that he does in Nicaragua with his wife. So here you can see my wife too, and Walter, and our new secretary. In fact, I didn't point her out earlier. We have a new secretary on the left. Her name is Erica. Erica Reese is actually the sister of our new staff member, Gerson Reese. And so please pray for her to do a good job there at the school. And here you can see her better next to Benjamin on the left-hand side. I don't know if you could see my mouse, so that's why I'm explaining where she is. She's on the second from the left. little young lady. That's Erica Reese. And then our cook continues to be with us, Miss Juana, we call her. And here in the center with the yellow tie, that's our brother from Honduras, Neri Irias. He was one of the few instructors that came to teach class in person. So Brother Neri Irias came to teach a short course. So they're finishing up. All right, so now we move on to the lectureship, which we were able to hold, but we did it in a totally different day. It's normally during the March period, and we were hoping to have an in-person lectureship. By this time, we thought the pandemic and all of the restrictions would be over. And as you well know, it's just, it's uncertain in a lot of different countries. And so as a result of that, we ended up having an online, a virtual, a lectureship on the 19th of June. This past year. And well, we decided to choose a very relevant subject. The Spanish, the English translation is learning from the current world crisis. And so everybody knows to what we were referring when we referred to that. And we had a pretty good attendance virtually. I told people to smile, but some of them had already on their cover some unusual pictures. But anyway, we had a pretty good attendance. You can't see everybody who's present. And I actually took this picture after several people had already left. But we had a pretty good attendance during our lectureship. We had some people from Panama, actually, that connected, and some from Mexico, and several from Guatemala. And so that's one advantage that you're able to have when you have virtual events, is that people are no longer restricted by travel. We had several extracurricular activities at the Bible school as well. Hawatha, well, one of his main jobs, and that's why you may not see him often preaching in Guatemala, is because he's traveling a lot. This year, obviously, he didn't get to travel as much because of all of the trouble with the travel and the virus issues. But he did travel some, and so here he is promoting ITL. And he's very good at what he does. And so we're thankful for the work that he does. The school also had a Mother's Day celebration. The men decided that we would honor our ladies there at ITL. So the cook on the left, Juana, my wife, Snejana, and Elsa on the right were the three mothers in campus, I guess, on campus. And here we are, the cooks, the local cooks, Juana and I, and of course our boys, Jose on the left, and Alex on the right. And as you can see, they like to dress like us. So we're never going to tell them no as long as they continue to like that. All right. We also did a birthday celebration this past year. We do that twice a year for all of those at ITL who have birthdays. We just celebrate them twice a year. So the first half of the year, we have a date for the first half from January to June. And then from July to December, we have another date to be able to celebrate those birthdays. And so all of us were there. And we enjoyed a good fellowship together, trying to get out of the classroom and de-stress our students a little bit so they can continue to be sane. We also were privileged to have our ITL students to go on several campaigns. And so here this year, they went to Linda Vista, and Walter took them from place to place. They door knocked. They visited some of our members as well. Here, Wilfredo on the left-hand side there with his Bible under his arm. He was preaching to the family. Again, Walter leading the team. They were at another family member's home. This is the Ramos Garcia family. And then after they were there for 1 week, Walter presented them with a certificate of appreciation for the good work that they did. They also traveled to La Esperanza, and they were there for 3 weeks. La Esperanza is a city where we have one of our graduates, Gabriel Gonzalez, who's been working with the local congregation. They're volunteering, but I think they consider him the local preacher, but he's not paid. Unfortunately, they can't afford to pay him. But this is Alejandro taking a selfie and showing where they've been. And as you can see, the selfies aren't always straight, but we try to do what we can to present, straighten them out as we can. And so you can see Daniel talking to someone over there in the background, and Alejandro and Elsa, and here Daniel presenting the word in a home in La Esperanza. So there were a lot of other pictures, but for sake of time, just trying to give you a brief summary of what they did. This past year in June or July, I was able to go to Panama to promote the school. When we lost that one student, like I mentioned earlier, we only were kept with a couple. We decided to go ahead and go with him because he had left a pretty good job and they had proven themselves to be a pretty good to be pretty good students. And normally we don't go with such few, just a couple. We would just send them home and start over. But he was going to have a hard time finding work. So we decided to continue with the couple and to commit to teaching them, because after all, our philosophy is quality over quantity. And so we felt like, well, we keep emphasizing quality over quantity. And now that we have low quantity, it wouldn't be right just to send them home. So anyway, we decided to keep them home. And then I decided to go to Panama and to see if we could find some students there. There's always been a very good interest in Panama and the work here in ITL. And so this man here, this young man, Ulises Franco, and his family, they were very gracious and very hospitable. He picked me up at the airport and I stayed with them during the time that I was in Panama. And the Panamanian brethren continued to be very excited about the program in Guatemala at ITL. The only problem this particular trip was that there was too few. The notice was too short. It was only like a month before we started the next quarter. So this is where Brother Ulises preaches, and here's the congregation. I was able to present a message to them on this occasion. And we traveled about 3 hours to a congregation on a farm. This brother on his own land actually built this building, and we presented the work here. At the bottom picture, the couple in the back. The couple in the back is the couple that's interested in coming to school, as well as that young man on the right-hand side with the red T-shirt, looks like Adidas. I'm not sure what it is, but anyway, they are still interested in coming to Guatemala. They almost came. They almost left their jobs. But the problem is that they had already purchased the car, the couple did, and they were making some payments and trying to get all those little details worked out within a month was very difficult for them. But we really see them as very good candidates for next time. So we might have a few from Panama next year when we start the next class. And then on the left-hand side of the bottom picture, he's also on the top picture, is one of our graduates, recent graduates, Seferino Gonzalez. His brother Gabriel is the one who hosted our students in La Esperanza. And so his brother Gabriel married a Guatemalan, so he's in Guatemala. And Seferino, he went back to Panama. So he's working with the local church. So he accompanied us, he went with us. And so here he is in the picture. And the brother on the right in the light blue shirt, he's the one who took us from place to place. And he's very sold on ITL, too, very kind man. His name is Augustine. And so I continue to go from place to place. This is another family that had two sons. One of the sons was not there, but they are interested in coming to ITL to study. And then this is Alexis and Roxana Mendoza and their son. They also kept me in their home the second half of my trip. And he's the preacher where Seferino worships. And they're very kind, very hospitable. So anytime we go to Panama, we always know we have gracious hosts that are awaiting us. But we think that next time that we start school, we'll have a pretty good turnout from the brethren in Panama. Now, I've mentioned both programs. For those of you who may not be familiar with them, we have two programs. We have a Saturday program, which is a 3-year plan of study. You come every Saturday. We work on quarterly program. So we take a Saturday off between quarters, but it's over a period of 3 years, you receive 24 Bible courses. And those who can attend the Saturday program can be men or women, single or married. And they pay 100 quetzales per year, which is really nothing. It's $13 a year. It's just so that they will take the program seriously, and so that they won't just come and then stop coming. And that's unfortunately what happens when you just give things free a lot of times and you don't require some kind of commitment. But we have a pretty good turnout for the Saturday program. We've had a lot of Christians from local congregations to come. We've had some as far away as Antigua, which is about an hour away. And we have another young lady right now who's going to probably be coming, or at least said she is, from Chichicastenango, where you saw the pictures earlier, where they have the really large congregations. We have also a full-time program, and this is also what you've been seeing. You've been seeing pictures of this program. You saw pictures of both programs at the beginning of the Saturday program in the classroom, and then the rest of the time this has been of our students in the full-time program. And it's similar to our preaching schools in the US, except we've added a 1-year technical training program. But we'll see if any of our students currently studying will decide to continue. It's an optional year, where if they decide to stay on, that they receive some kind of training, like they can be electricians or carpenters or on the computer. We decided to do this because a lot of times our graduates, they come without any kind of college education. And because of this, when they go back home or wherever they go, if they don't get fully supported, which oftentimes doesn't happen, then they have to find work. And many times, because they don't have these skills educationally or otherwise, they have to find the very low paying jobs. And of course, that requires a lot of hours, and that makes it very difficult for them to be able to minister or to serve in the local churches. So we decided if we add another year of technical training, increase their ability to find a better paying job with more reasonable hours, then this would help not only them, but it would also help their ministry if they were not going to be able to be fully supported. And so we decided to add that extra year, and we'll see how it goes. This will be the first class that either decides to take it or not to take it. We continue to need funds, and so for that, we're very thankful to the church at Mountain View. You continue to be with us. Obviously, this has changed significantly. This always is the standard that we show, but this will be reduced if we have less students, obviously. And so we just have to subtract the student support, but the office continues to be the same expenses, and the school staff continue. In fact, it went up a little bit because we brought Harrison on, but thankfully we do have a supporter for him. And other expenses that continue to be the same, whether you have 10 students or 3 students or 2 students. But the student support, which is the largest number there, well, that does shift significantly based on how many students we have. We appreciate many of you who have been part of our Help Train Messengers ministry. This is a program where you sponsor a student personally, and then the student is able to communicate with you on a periodic basis. And so we're very thankful that God has given us many individuals who are interested in this. And if you're interested in this program, just let us know, and we'll add you to the list. All right. The mission team, this is us, this is we. We just want to share a little bit about our lives and how things were going. Our boys have had to do online school for almost 2 years now, a year and a half at least. And they're saying that this next January, our school year starts in January here and it ends in October. So in January, they're going to also start online again, and then they may shift into a in-person system. And so we've had to adjust significantly. Our boys originally had little small tablets, but this year they're going to have to go to laptops, and we're going to have to set them up into different areas. And the school where they're going now requires that it to be a little more formal. And apparently they've how should I say, they've done a very good job at developing their online and in-person school. And so please keep them in your prayers. It's a challenge for the boys. It's also a challenge for Snejana. She has to keep supervising them. And if they're at different, if one is upstairs, one's downstairs, that's pretty rough on her knees. But we'll figure out something so that the boys can be educated properly. But of course, the best education, or the most important education, is that they get educated in the Lord. And we also try to find some time to have some family time. We celebrate our birthdays here. You have Hawafa's birthday on the left, and Jose's birthday on the top right, and my birthday right after I got out of the hospital on the bottom left, and Alex's birthday on the bottom right, and Snejana's birthday. I don't know if we got her in here. We didn't get her in here. Sorry, sweetie. Need to put a picture of you in here, but she's in pictures. But we do celebrate Mother's Day with our boys, and they did a good job of honoring their loving mom, and Father's Day, for which I was very thankful, and Children's Day. Here in Guatemala, it's an international holiday, and and so Guatemala is one of the countries that does honor this particular day. It's on the 1st of October, and on that day, the boys were supposed to wear a costume, even though it was still online. They were supposed to wear a costume of their favorite person or what they wanted to do, and so both boys decided to be Spider-Man. So that's why they're in the Spider-Man outfit. We have family devotionals. And here are our boys behind the pulpit. Hawatha had these pulpits made for them, and they like to lead singing and lead prayer and read. The youngest one especially, he likes to read, but both of them like to read, the younger one especially. And of course, we try to remember that love is the basis for everything we do. And they love Uncle High. And so Uncle High is everything to them. So we're very thankful that they, of course, have someone in their lives like that, and that we can be all connected. Now I'll tell you a little bit about my illness. I know that many of you were praying for me, and for that I'm thankful. I really believe that your prayers allowed me to get out of the hospital. I was diagnosed with COVID in September with the rest of my family. We got past that after a couple of weeks. They were pretty rough, but I did okay. And so at the beginning of October, I was doing okay, but I think that my problem was that I didn't realize I needed to rest after that. And so I just went back to my normal activities, and that's what the doctors believe really got me. I didn't have COVID when I went to the hospital, but I did get myocarditis. And this was now 3 weeks later, and I ended up with only 27% of my heart working. And had I not gone into the hospital that day, I would not be here today. And so I'm very thankful. This doctor on the left, his name is Dr. Gonzalez. He was my main doctor. I ended up having about 6 doctors. This is a very good hospital in Guatemala, one of the best. And the Lord blessed me with being able to go there. And then the kindness and generosity of the brotherhood also allowed me not to have a debt, because unfortunately we do have health insurance. But at the beginning of the pandemic, they conveniently excluded any COVID-related issues. And so that's why we're very thankful for the generous gifts of many Christians around the world, really. And so this Dr. Gonzalez, he's on the left-hand side. After several days, he came into the hospital room and he told my wife and I, he says, it's evident that the faith that you have in God has made a difference in your recovery. So that, okay, praise God that he's able to see that our trust in the Lord made the difference. And so he's a very good doctor. And like I said earlier, and here's Hawatha, he would come to the hospital often. He was just getting past COVID. In fact, the day I was admitted was the day he got a negative test. And so he was there, of course. And of course, my wife was there every day. And she, was a true blessing, a true blessing. Though this is after a few days, I was 8 days in the intensive care unit. And then this is the last 3 days that I was there in the regular unit, where they were just monitoring me to make sure everything was okay so I can go home. Very thankful. The staff was very kind to me. I was there on my birthday that Saturday, and the people from the cafeteria brought in a birthday cake, and I was really surprised. And so they say they normally don't do that for patients, but they did. And then even the staff, the doctor and the nurses, they came in and they sang happy birthday to me too. And so it was a real blessing. The people treated me very well. And during the whole time that I was there, my goal was to glorify Christ, and to let people know that if God gave me life, it's because he allowed it. And if not, well, I was going to a better place. In fact, every day, I forgot to mention, I would read the scriptures to everyone who came into my room, make sure to bless their lives. And everyone except one doctor was eager to hear. One doctor, she kind of fled a little bit and I got to go see another patient. And so she didn't stay, but everyone else was very grateful. And as I mentioned earlier, I in fact got about 9 contacts as a result of that. And you saw Normal, the respiratory therapist, who is now receiving Bible studies, but I'm trying to not overdo it. I am trying to take it easy and to remember that I'm sick. And I did start a study also with one of the staff members at this particular floor in the intensive care unit, but he's a Jehovah's Witness. And he turned out to be very arrogant and he attacked me quite a bit. So I just ended that study. And so anyway, it's just not healthy for me. I don't need that kind of stress. And so I'm very thankful that Norma and her family are totally different. They're just like, oh, we want to learn. We've always wanted to learn. And thank you and for teaching us. And then it's just totally different environment. We're so grateful for Damaris and the girls. Damaris, if you remember, this is the wife of our beloved worker who passed away last year, Aníbal Ramirez. She and the girls, there are three of them, they would come often to bring food, to make sure that Snejana didn't have to cook. They took care of the boys whenever Snejana went, or when Hoafa was at the hospital, or whenever the boys needed to, someone needed to look after them. They would either come to the house here, or they would take the boys to the house. And so we were very thankful to have family in Christ that would just was there when we really needed them. And here's Norma. You saw her at the beginning of the presentation with her family, and here's how I saw her. I didn't recognize her when I saw her online because I can't see her. And so, but she is very eager to study scripture. She said she's always wanted to study theology. Her dad was an evangelist, not officially, but she said he talked about Jesus to everyone. And so that always stayed in her mind. And she's always had an interest in studying theology. And so now I'm studying with her and with her brother, sister, nephew, and niece. So please keep them in your prayers, as well as everyone else. And boy, it sure was a blessing to be able to go home. This is the day I was able to go home, and the boys brought a happy birthday balloons as well, because I was not able to celebrate the birthday with them. And it affected the boys quite a bit. You could tell when I was gone. But one of the things that I'll never forget is what Jose said whenever I was picked up by the ambulance, taken to the hospital. And the boys, Jose says, well, if he goes to the hospital, they'll take care of him there, and they'll fix him so that he can come home well. So that's true. So here, I got home on the 1st of, was it the 30th or the 1st? Yeah, the 1st of December. November, excuse me. You're right. The 1st of November. Yeah, it was right after my birthday, right? The 1st of November. And so here we are, thankfully. And so, boy, it's been quite a struggle. And they took me off of my heart medications, thankfully. And now I'm just taking something for my stomach, because all the medicines they were giving me were very hard on my stomach. I was having a hard time maintaining a good blood pressure, and that was a significant issue. My suprarenal glands were kind of out of whack, and I got inflammation of the heart. I ended up with hepatitis as well, not A, B, C, or D. It just happened to be because of the issues that I had with myocarditis. And so coming home and doing as well as I'm doing, I'm very thankful to God. And I need to remember it's going to be a process. They said it was going to be between 3 to 6 months for my recovery, but already they've taken me off my heart medication, like I said a moment ago. And so I think that things are going well. I'm very thankful to God to be alive and to be able to spend time with my family and to have a little time to reflect. I send out some biblical reflections now once or twice a week, and about 56 people get those. And so I'm doing a special series now on Christmas to let people know a little bit about the truth about what the Bible teaches without trying to offend them. And they seem to be responding pretty well, except the Jehovah's Witness. He's not taking it so well. But anyway, let me finish here with some additions to the family, because my time has elapsed. We had these additions to the family. I mentioned her at the beginning of the program. Our neighbor, Lily Barrera, was baptized. Some members of the congregation, their family members were baptized. As Damaris Lopez, her sister, Rochelle, was first baptized, and Damaris was baptized this past year. Fernando Martinez, his brother Moises, was baptized last year, and he was baptized this year. Daniela Tovar, she was baptized. Ismael Ahuchan, he's actually not from our congregation. Victor is one of our graduates. He asked to borrow the baptistry, and so 2 of them had to get in there and baptize him because he's kind of heavy, and he also has some issues with his, as you can see, with walking. So they helped him out. Jefferson, one of our members' sons, he was baptized. Sylvia, her mother used to come years ago, and then she and her sister started attending just this past year, and Sylvia was baptized. And then Paola is a cousin to one of our members, and she was baptized. And here, Lucrecia, this was our last baptism. She was a result of the campaign that they had in Linda Vista. She has epilepsy, but she was very eager to hear the gospel, and she used to be a Catholic, and now she's a New Testament Christian. And so there's the report. There's much more that I would like to say, but time has elapsed, as I said. So thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you, Byron. Now we have a short break and then our worship service at 10:30.
All right, thank you. Blessings. We look forward to being with you.